Basically, I'm 58 years of age, and at 2 months of age, I caught polio up in Menangatang in northern Victoria. I was, from what I understand, at the time I caught it, I was the only person that caught it within a 50-mile radius. I was 2 months of age. Once again, from what I understand, that was the youngest recorded at that particular time of someone contracting polio or catching polio, whatever you want to call it. Took mum and dad. Mum and dad did a heck of a lot of work. My mum and dad have been awesome all the way through this. I've still got them, they're still married, we're still a family, it's great. But they did an awesome job because no one knew what it was. I was too young. I couldn't tell them if I was in pain, I couldn't tell them anything. Mm-hmm. So they got a 2-month-old baby that's just laying there doing nothing. Moving one arm, that's all I was doing. And so that sort of freaked them out a bit. And after a while they finished up meeting up. They went to Melbourne and Mount Eliza and all these professional people who all knew about diseases and everything. And but no one could put a finger on what it was. And they went back up to Menang, and someone said there's a doctor fresh out of uni over at Oyen. He's probably up to date with all the latest stuff that's happening. Go and have a chat with him. And he had a look at all the papers. They had that papers mile high. And they said, well, he said they've diagnosed that he's not anything. And the only thing that I can think of is it must be polio, because all the symptoms fit that of polio. And so we ran on from there, or they ran on from there. And so I've lived with that. And really I've had a pretty easy life, really, considering I wear 2 full-length calipers, used a walking stick, always have. Grew up through schools through Melbourne. Urella was the main one, and so I just lived with the polio. Polio's just been part of it, but it's never really stopped me. I've ridden motorbikes. I'm not by myself, but I've travelled miles on motorbikes, ridden horses.
Yeah. You currently still drive a car?
Still drive a car. Don't drive quite as radical as I used to. Should have been dead many times. Moved around the country a bit. But right now, where we are right now, is back in 2001. I got diagnosed as having a tumour in my right kidney. And that sort of threw me off a bit, because over the years I've spent quite a bit of time. I love network marketing. Network marketing to me is the ideal way to develop an income. It's got its challenges, it's a job. It's not, people think they get into these things and they get rich overnight. I'll tell you now, that don't happen. You've got to work it. But if you work it and work it properly, it'll work for you. But a lot of the companies I was involved with were all health companies. And so I was taking a lot of vitamin supplements and all this sort of stuff. And then they diagnosed me with a tumour in my kidney, and I'm thinking, what? I'm taking these vitamin supplements so things like this don't happen. This and that that threw me off balance. And within 3 months I had my kidney out, and I was still way off balance. I had no idea what was going on. Rattled me pretty good. They said they took the kidney out, and they said there's a 3% chance it may come back in your bladder. Well, I thought 3%. I'm taking all these vitamin supplements, I should be right, not a problem. That was January 2002 they took the kidney out. And then in 2005 I noticed there was blood in my urine again. I'm thinking, oh, you're joking. Went back in there, and sure enough, now I've got I had 3 tumours, 3 big tumours in my bladder. I thought, oh great, that's 6, now I'm really motivated. But in that time, in those 4 years, 3 or 4 years, I've spent a lot more time just studying, reading up on cancer and natural remedies and all sorts of stuff on the internet, and plus what I've already learnt through the health companies. Became painfully aware, like I'm a smoker, and every time I see a doctor, he goes, you better stop smoking. And I say, well, it's interesting how you tell me. And so I understand that you have figures that somewhere in the vicinity of 97% of people that come in with cancer are smokers. So if you're looking for a common denominator, then you would probably want to be looking at that as a serious denominator. Mm-hmm. So I understand that. But what you're not looking at is the food that we're eating in supermarkets, coming out of supermarkets, because 100% of the people that have got cancer eat food out of supermarkets. And you don't look at that, and yet there's enough evidence becoming quite apparent that we've got stuff in our food chain that actually instigates degenerative diseases. It promotes them. One of them is sugar, white sugar. When white sugar touches your saliva system, as soon as it touches your saliva system, it turns into an acid. Well, cancer loves acid. Cancer thrives in acid. It just thrives in it. You know, there's more and more evidence becoming available that there's a lot more than perhaps just cigarettes that need to be considered as far as people getting these degenerative diseases are concerned. And degenerative diseases, there's 7 of them. I can usually only remember 6. There's cancer, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, multiple sclerosis. That's 5 of them.
That's 5.
I forgot the other 2. I always do. I always miss 2 of them. And they all come under the same family. They're all in the same medical family. So anyway, that tumour, we discovered those tumours. At that point, I believe Jesus. I read the Bible. I believe what Jesus says. I believe what the Bible says, and I have a lot of faith in where my life goes as far as Jesus or the Holy Spirit leading me. At the same time as I got diagnosed with those tumours in my bladder back in 2005, I rang my sister just to let her know, because she's sort of into health stuff and everything. And she goes, "I've got a book here you need to read." And that was Percy Weston's book, Cancer, Cause and Cure. And when I read that, what I noticed was he was saying the same thing. With the testing he'd done on his sheep, he basically said word for word the same as a Dr. Myron Wentz from a company called Yasana said. The biggest problem we've got in today's environment is the breakdown in the food chain. And that is simply caused by the fertilisers the farmers are using to produce the food in the first place. And that mainly being NPK fertiliser. Dr. Wentz focused on NPK fertiliser. Percy Weston focused more on phosphate, superphosphate. And anyway, so I read the book, and there's a whole lot of testimonies in the back of the book. And so I sat up one night, got the computer on, got into the white pages, and I started looking for these people. I thought, let's see if this is true or not. Let's see, you know, often you read books and got testimonies, you go, yeah, who are they? You know, some Joe Blow from who knows where. Yeah. Anyway, I got hold of one of them. One of these testimonies, I got hold of the people. And he spoke very positively of Percy's powder. And he had cancer as well. And he said as a result of Percy's powder, he's still alive. He believes it was Percy's powder that kept him alive. And so I got onto it. And I went into the hospital, let them do cystoscopies, they scraped all the tumours out. And they wanted me to take chemo and radiation. No, not doing that. And I just kept taking Percy's powder, but I can get pretty slack. What I noticed was I was going in every 3 months for testing. Mm-hmm. If I'd been taking the Percy's powder regular during that time, the pathology report said that the cancer was low grade, non-invasive. So I got a bit cocky about it. Yeah, under control, see, no problem. So I didn't take any more for the next 3 months. The next pathology report said high grade, high invasive. Whoops, back onto Percy's powder. Alright, next pathology, low grade, non-invasive. And this kept going on for 3 years. In the meantime, the tumours are gradually disappearing. Now they're scraping them out as well, don't get me wrong. Anyway, early 68, I thought I've had enough of this. Not 68, sorry, early 98, I thought I've had enough of this. No, early 2008. Yeah, that's better. Early 2008, I thought I've had enough of this, so I stopped going to the hospital. I rang them up and said, stop ringing me, I'm not coming. The cancer had basically gone. The last pathology report said there wasn't enough in there for them to be able to take a sample and do a pathology report on it. So I just stopped going to the hospital. Only problem was I stopped taking Percy's powder as well. And just went back to normal, unhealthy living, basically. And although I did keep the sugar down. I was always aware of the sugar. Anyway, young Ashley and I went to see Collingwood and Richmond late 2010, the second round. And I go to the toilet while we're there, and I noticed that we've got tissue passing as I'm doing my wheeze, voiding, whatever you want to call it. I thought, oh, you're joking. Anyway, since then it's just got worse and worse, and now I've got regular. I'm getting ultrasounds. I'm due to get another one now but getting regular ultrasounds done. Anyway, the ultrasound showed there's, yep, we've got a mass. Because I haven't been back to the hospital, I won't let them go in to see what it is. They're just calling it a mass. But my doctor and I are both pretty convinced we know what it is. But so I got back onto Percy's powder. As a result of taking Percy's powder, that mass has decreased so far. Up until the last ultrasound, we decreased it about 30% in size. But what's happening is because that mass is there, I'm weeing all the time because the bladder's already half full. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now I've got a situation where, so I've got, I believe as a result of sitting in the wheelchair all the time, I've developed constipation over the time. Well, I've definitely got constipation. I'm weeing all the time. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not going to the toilet trying to do a poo, I'm going to the toilet to have a wee. Mm-hmm. All right. And it's a continual trip, which has its ups and downs. I've noticed over the last month in particular, and probably the last couple of weeks in particular, that my ability to be able to do things has decreased dramatically, or is decreasing at an interesting rate. I used to be able to just grab my walking stick, put it beside me, and stand up. Now I can't. That's happened in the last couple of weeks. First time I found out about that was I got stuck on the toilet, couldn't get off the toilet. Mm-hmm. I thought, that's not very interesting. I'm not very excited about this at all, actually. But talking about that, we're going to have a break because I've got to go and have a wee. Okay.